Ko Ofa hiva. Ko kolege hufanga I he ngahi whakatapu tō pēku o au whaka e tā mua keu. Whakamonua hau koloa o ku kau mai ki he whakamāwai whakaoskoen mo Talaiasi Teu. O ate ku whakapa make kia paula mo hoa ka mamalakai ka hoa lot ka whaiwhakau e pisope mo Palestine State ki. O ate ku ofa make kia koe aiona ka maho si whanau o ngā lupe mpautua Chris mo Monty ko ofa kia mautolo ko au ko kingoa ko Vaiangina Sikahema ko e mokopuna lahi tahau a toa ila mo Vaiangina ko toa ila ko si tahaia I he o si ia ia menasein hain o ku ia aiona o ku tungane si e tamai kia aiona ko Talaiasi ko tangata ofa mo on tangata lotu tui tangata na loto moko kaya ha taimi na u sio ai go ita pego whakapouri ko siana na ofa na ofa iau. Brothers and sisters, I beg your forgiveness if I may speak to you in English. I know many of you only speak Tongan, but most of you understand English. I'll share with you just a few things. First of all, I bring to you, especially to Iona and her children, her grandchildren, I bring to you the love and the affection of the prophet and the first presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Some of you know that I was recently sustained and ordained as a member of the General Authority 70 of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I am just moved with my family. I retired from my career in television, moved with my family from the East Coast where I've raised my children, and we are now living in Salt Lake while I am trained in my duties, and I will receive an assignment next year. In the meantime, I have assignments on a weekly basis, and it just turned out this way that the funeral was today. I had prayed earnestly. I thought it was going to be last week, and I had some conflicts and contacted Iona's children, Ongalupe and Potua, and they were very kind, and I didn't tell them what my schedule was. I just asked, keep me aware and abreast of your plans. When they told me that it was today, I was so grateful because I wouldn't have been able to make it tomorrow. I have an assignment for a state conference in Westchester, New York this weekend. So following the dedication of the grave, which I believe Chris is going to perform, I'll go to the airport and catch a flight back. And I regard the fact that it turned out to be today as a tender mercy for me, because I could not have come on any other day other than today. And I wanted desperately to be here to come show my respect for this great man who in so many ways, many of you know this, I'm often introduced, and it will probably be on my gravestone, that I was the first Tongan to play in the NFL. I was. But I regard him as the first great Tongan football player rugby player. I grew up knowing of his greatness on the field, and I would learn later that as great as he was on the rugby pitch, he was even greater as a human being. And I truly tried to pattern my life after this great man. And all that has happened to me in my life has happened in part because of how great he was and how much affection I had for him and how much I wanted to be like him. To the children, I hope you'll appreciate this. I knew your mother when she was a young woman. Iona was the tallest, she was the prettiest, and she was the smartest young woman in the kingdom when I was a little boy. And for some reason, I went to live with them in their home in Kapeta because I went to the public school in Nuku'alofa. And so I could walk there from their home. So my parents sent me and I lived with them. And I remember Iona was going to school at Church College of Hawaii, which is now BYU Hawaii in Laie. And she became, I would appreciate this later, she became what we would regard as the homecoming queen of the school. I think it's Nahau Pono. She was Miss Nahau Pono. No Tongan had ever come close to that title, and she won it. And when she came back, here she was, this elegant, beautiful auntie of mine. She was so smart, so gifted, so pretty. And I remember, in fact, I have an uncle. I won't even say who. I have an uncle who came to court her. But there were many, many men who came to court my auntie. And I watched how my grandparents, Sinsa and Menaseini, how they watched carefully and they hovered over her. But then Talaiasi came. I'll put it this way. Talaiasi was like the Tom Brady of Tonga. And I always, over the years as I've learned and I've met people in my work, one woman over the years, I've never told my auntie Iona this, but there's one woman that I have met that has always reminded me of Iona. And you might know and may have heard of who she is. Her name is Condoleezza Rice. And I'll tell you why. She's a woman of color, exceptionally smart. I think right now she's the provost at Stanford University. And she was at Stanford before she worked in the Bush administration. I went to see her with another friend in her office when she was in the Bush administration in 2002. And I did not know this about Condoleezza Rice, but she is a huge football fan. Some of you may know this, and she's a big football fan at Stanford. Her favorite team is the Cleveland Browns because her father, his favorite player was a running back named Jim Brown. Well, when I met her, and she had this shrine in her office for Jim Brown and the Cleveland Browns, I thought immediately of my auntie because she's smart, tall, elegant, beautiful, eloquent, like Condoleezza Rice, and she married a football player. She married Tom Brady of Tonga, my auntie. I would immigrate with my grandmother in 1970. Exactly 50 years ago this month, I was living with my auntie Palu, who's seated on the fourth row. And Palu has two daughters, and only her oldest daughter was born, Christina. I don't think Ruperta was born yet. I was living in their home, and I was going to school there when Iona and Talaiasi, and I believe Ongolupe may have I think she was 3 months old, and they came from Tonga, and we lived together. And in the 2 or 3 months that I was there, I prayed often with Talaiasi. He would take me, and I was 8 years old. I'm 58 today, and I was 8 years old when this happened. He would routinely take me to the backyard, to Palu's home. And Palu, was that Gardena or Garden Grove? Gardena. We would go sit in the backyard, and he would talk to me. Talaiasi had no reason to know that in 10 years I would go to college on a football scholarship to Brigham Young University. He had no reason to know that one day I would be the first Tongan to play in the NFL. But this is what he taught me. He taught me to put God first in my life. And if I did, everything would work out. And indeed, that's what's happened. I came today to honor and pay tribute to this wonderful man. How wonderful for me. His children, I have not been around because I've been in the East Coast and they were raised here in California, and I've not been around them, not spent any time with them. But the few minutes that we had together before the beginning of this meeting, I had a chance to hear from them. I had a chance to give them some counsel. I learned that 3 of Talaiasi's, at least 3, speak Spanish because they went to Spanish-speaking missions. I think all of them are either at BYU, at my alma mater, or they're headed to BYU. They take after their mother's intellectual acumen, and they also have their father's gift of singing, which I didn't realize until just today. Iona, your children are perfect composites of the best characteristics and the best qualities that you and your dear husband have. And it has been passed down to your grandchildren. How blessed and how fortunate you must be. You are. I pay tribute to you. The time is past, and I close with this verse from Doctrine and Covenants, section 42, verse 46. And it shall come to pass that those that die in me shall not taste of death, for it shall be sweet unto them. I bear witness to you, brothers and sisters, that Talaiasi, because he died in the Lord, did not taste death, for the experience was sweet to him, and even sweeter to his parents and his other 4 siblings who are on the other side of the veil, who waited for him for years. And that reunion was sweet and tender and memorable. May we be so fortunate someday to have the same experience that he just had. Live for that. Do everything in your power to have that experience. I bear witness that God lives. Jesus is the Christ and the Redeemer of mankind. In his sacred name, even Jesus Christ. Amen.